If you're a nerd, you will like all the numbers I'm about to share with you. We are going to go over the budget that we had for 2021 for HowNOT2. $46,256 was donated in 2021. I am super honored. So many people trusted me with their money in order to put out content. We're going to go over where that money went and what we were able to do with it. So the previous year was $18,900, and it's about 2.5 times more than it was in 2020. And that averaged out with about 750 supporters, which I could be off by maybe 100, but it's not 100 supporters and it's not 1,000. It's definitely around 750 people, different people, have supported this channel financially. There's a lot of people that support this channel, not financially, but today we're focused on the people who have donated with dollars. It averages out about $60 per donor, and it's ranged anywhere from $1 to $500. Some people, they like a video, they'll throw a dollar on PayPal. Or some people have really chunked in a huge chunk, and it's come in Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, crypto. It's come in all sorts of forms. Even people have mailed checks up to $500. And that is like super helpful. It's usually come in on months where the smaller donations haven't come in, and the donations have actually floated roughly around the same every month. Super helpful when we're doing this kind of thing. Another way people donate is through Patreon, and it'll be $1, $2, or $3 per episode, and that has generated this year about $18,500. We right now have, and that's all included within that 46,000. We have about 230-ish patrons right now. I do want to bring up a large donation. Somebody nominated me for the Shutterworth Foundation grants, and I got one, and it's a $5,000 grant. And that basically helped cover all things load cells. And we'll get into what the money went into in a bit. I've had a running joke where I spend 200% of your donations go back into this channel. I actually spent $62,000 this year on the channel. And let's dive into where that went. I edit every single one of my videos partially. I have some people do 80% of it, and there's always some details because they weren't there, or I know the topic, or I have to add supplemental stuff. But for editing, I spent a little over $5,000 on editors. To have subscriptions, Adobe, Wix, LLC stuff is $3,900. The drop tower ended up costing, up to this point, about $24,000. About 15-ish went to Larry, and a bunch of it went to materials. The rubber, the drainage. Larry gave basically me all those 4x4 posts and the I-beams, but there's cables and gussets and tons of bolts in that thing. So there's a lot of things that went into it that I thought we were just gonna put some sticks up. And then we're like, oh, we should have like footings. So planned super good enough. But we have a drop tower for $24,000. Not quite sure how many people can pull that off. We spent about $3,000 on lab infrastructure. I moved the lab. We switched to hydraulics. I got a whole bunch of racks in there. We got lighting in there that doesn't flicker in the slow-mo. Just stuff that doesn't include the dynamometers, the load cells. So about $3,000 for that. I did spend about $4,200 on load cells. And that allows me to have that 10,000 hertz load cell, which is currently in the SlackSnap machine. But that has been me basically working out the kinks. So once the drop tower was done, boom, that's the one we use for the drop tower. There are some things that'll be more of a static load, and we're gonna need that fast load cell. And it also gives us another source of a graph when I don't wanna use the line scale 3s. Spoiler alert, line scale 3s are not great for brake tests. The aluminum won't break until 90 plus kilonewtons, but the screen kind of breaks, and they don't read more than 30. So they're meant to read live loads. They're not meant to like destroy things. That's why I end up destroying my line scale 3s, because I abuse them. But we ended up doing that investment last year around this time, and we were able to fundraise for it. I got 7 of them as an investor. So I dropped 14 grand into the project. I get free line scale 3s because of that, and I'm gonna get my money back. I ended up selling off 3 of them because I intended to invest in it, but I kept 4 of them. So basically it's zero cost to the channel to have all these line scale 3s, and because I helped fundraise for the project and promote it so much, I have not ever got an affiliate link from it but having the relationship with Line Grip Incorporated, or Andrew Riedrich, I now have access to as many line scale 3s as he has access to. They're obviously still being made in China. But we can lend them out, and I can get more for specific projects and then ship them back to him. I don't need to personally own more than 4. But I have made it so it costs the channel nothing for all these line scale 3s, which is fantastic. A lot of that came because you guys supported that project and made that even possible. With the cost of materials and everything, nothing, just like the drop tower, everything costs more than you originally think. Andy's not rolling in the dough. I'm not gonna ask for an affiliate link if he's not making money. That's the whole point of how affiliate links work. You get like a 5%, 10% cut on something. I want the line scale 3s available for the channel and for other people more than I'm trying to squeeze a small project for money. So that's why donations have really helped, because we run off the donation. The cameras, the 3 audio systems I've got, and the hard drives I've got to have everything doubly backed up, which is pretty intense for all the videos we do, it's only about $3,000. And then we supported Bobby and some of his bolting projects with about $1,100, because everyone loves Bobby and he deserves a heck of a lot more than that, because he has spent tons of time making this channel what it is today. Gear that we specifically bought to break, 0 values for me, 0 things I got to keep, about $433. I'm really an opportunivore when it comes to what's available to break that people are gonna send me or whatever, so I really keep the costs down on that. But we just spent money on 10 carabiners from 10 different brands to break them all in a chain link. So that's gonna be super fun. I don't wanna use used carabiners for that. I had to buy those, but that's on 2022's budget. I have to give a shout out to Larry. Not only did he give me the metal to build the drop tower in a supply crisis, he let me put it on his property. And he also moved a bunch of his stuff to make room for me to have that area that we call the lab. So huge shout out, super great rent. And so about $500 a month, $6,000 a year. So I really appreciate them and what they do for the channel. Now let's talk about a gray area. Just like we learned in the SlackSnap lab, nothing is just clean and cut. In a budget, there is stuff that is self-serving. There's 2 categories. There's gear for projects and there's travel. Now, we were able to do some really cool things because we were able to have gear for projects, and we were able to go to really cool places because of it, making this channel full value. But I'm really starting to benefit from that. I get to keep the gear, or I got this really cool trip. So I'd like you to put in the comments below in the future how you would like to see that. Is that something donations could be spent on? Or is that something that maybe half and half? Or none of this should be used for donations? But this year, you're in luck. We got $46,000 in donations and spent $59,000. So I paid for all of it. But I'm just wondering, in the future, should or could donations cover these things? For the gear for projects, we're talking projects, okay? We helped rig the California record, and a lot of the webbing in that system was mine. I donated or lent, and I hate lending out my gear, the webbing for the US record, and we fundraised, and I traveled to Sweden, and I paid my own way to go help rig the world record in Sweden. We also did this super secret cave project coming out in about a month or 2. We're also looking to go to Iceland, where we can break test a lot of ice things with some pretty cool ice guides. And that, I think, is gonna add a lot of value to the channel. This last year, we spent about $4,000 on travel, and that included everything I did. So I'm pretty stoked on how cost effective that was. One way I'm able to save money in that is I'm an opportunivore, where I kind of go, or I'll break what is offered to me. I'll go where I'm invited, and that saves a ton of money. If I were to go to Alaska and rent a helicopter and go do some big mountain project, it's just gonna cost me 10 grand to go do a thing like that. But I was invited to Iceland, and we basically just have to get there. They're gonna pick us up from the airport, they're gonna let us sleep on their living room floor, and they already have the gear. So it's a very low cost trip for the amount of value we're gonna get. We're probably gonna get 10, 15 episodes out of a trip like that. I wanna get your guys' opinion on travel expenses and kind of how I save money. Other ways that I try to save money on this channel is basically pouring a lot of energy into it. For example, the drop tower, I'm doing everything that I'm capable of doing, and I've spent a lot of hours working till 11 o'clock at night with a headlamp in order to save money and get done what I can for free. I do a ton of my own editing, and Ravi in India has been helping me for over 2 years, and he takes the episodes 80%, and that is the most cost-effective range. To go beyond that would start to double, triple, quadruple the cost to finish that last 20%. So I'll spend 4 hours polishing a finished episode because there's so much detail that you really have to know the topic really well. You have to have been there and all that. So I save a lot of money on editing because I, again, work hard. Now, I was able to make about $25,000 on YouTube ad revenue and affiliate links. Now, affiliate links is when you click the link down in the description below, then you go to the site and you buy that item. In some instances, it's like 8% or 10%, I get credit. If you buy something on Amazon, it's like 2 to 3%. And then I get that money. It's like a sales commission. And that is one way I try to live on this. I only made $3,000 this last year because I wasn't trying that hard. And the ad revenue averaged about $2,000 a month. It started around $700 a month, went up to $4,000 when I was getting all those views, and then it's tapered back down to like $1,500 a month. When I start posting more next year, and as the channel grows, I think that'll grow. I'm gonna focus on doing affiliate links more. My goal is that any gear that you can buy for extreme sports, I'll have an affiliate link for. So if the 750 people, just those people, bought all of their gear through my affiliate links, that alone should support me. And ideally, more and more people will as I provide more and more value to the audience. I think if I look at it per hour, it was about $5 per hour I got paid to do this channel. But I also put it all back into the channel because I really want this thing to grow. I'm also really investing in this, and I get excited to do that when you guys have invested into this channel as well. So I'm excited to see, because we basically doubled the budget from last year. I'm excited to see if we do more than that, because this last year I also was running my painting business, which is like, how do you make money? Well, this is how. I wasn't necessarily painting. I probably painted maybe 100 to 200 hours, but the majority of the year I was keeping my employee busy. And we had about 40 customers, 2,500 man hours that I was managing of him painting. And that is kind of how I made money. Now, you don't make very much money if you're not painting. If my employee does 100% of the job, I end up making enough to have made this work this year. But it's been so distracting for me that I decided to end that in a few weeks. And I'm gonna just try to go for affiliate links. Extremegear.org is a real partnership with John Fioroni to see if we can provide an entire website that has better information in it on what to buy. Like, I don't like the word gear reviews, but something to that effect, that you really, really understand what you're buying if you're getting it from there. So he really invested in us for the Dan Osmond project. He supplied a lot of the gear I had to buy for the rope swing at wholesale pricing. And he just really supported that project, and he's been supportive before. And so I feel like he's really the right person to partner up with on trying to build a really nice store for climbing and caving gear. Balanced Community is another affiliate I have for slacklining gear. And eventually I have a Canyon one. I'll eventually have an affiliate link of the people I trust and the gear that I trust, so you guys can support me through the purchases you make. That's how I hopefully will make money in the future. Cool. So we did 120 episodes this last year. I'm exhausted thinking about that. Basically, the amount we spent was $500 per episode. That includes drop tower stuff, that includes infrastructure, load cells, things like that. But I'm actually gonna invest more in doing nicer edits, buying more gear for brake tests, whatever. So I don't see the budget going down next year. We had donated about $385 per episode. So really close, super awesome. I'm gonna set the 2022 budget for about 120 episodes at about $500 per episode. That'll be my budget. I'm gonna try to stay within that range. Some cost me nothing, some cost me a fortune. but on average, it'll be around that. And I'm gonna try to keep the budget updated. I'm gonna have the Google Sheet that I use, so anybody who goes on the donation page can look to see how much has been donated, what our budget, what the goal is, and what it's going to, so people more understand what their money goes to. I personally like transparency to places that I donate. So I'm gonna try to give that to you on a more regular basis, and then you can see how we're doing on donations, where the money's gonna go, and why. Not only did we make 120 episodes, we moved the lab from my house to Larry's, which required, resetting things up, figured out the lighting, built a drop tower, did, I'd say 5 major projects. And lots of gear, lots of travel for those. We're still working on, but all year worked on the LabJack load cell. We got the Lodestar load cell and the line scale 3 thing all figured out. We rebranded as HowNOT2 from HowNOT2 Highline and got the HowNOT2.com website. I found the HowNOT2.com website in my junk email that it was up for auction on one of those GoDaddy junk emails you never read. And I think they sent it to me because I bought HowNOT2.org previously. And when that popped up and I was like, I found it a day before the auction was over. Super stoked. Anyways, we also revamped the bolting Bible. And we're gonna do another version in 2022. We're gonna add probably another 50 pages. And I'm gonna work on an Amsteel, I don't wanna call it the Amsteel Bible, but like a book about Amsteel. And we're gonna add maybe another 100 brake tests to the bolt buster information that we have, and probably put out another 15 to 20 episodes on bolts. Of course, we're gonna break a ton of drop tower stuff. And I'm constantly going to be working on making these episodes better, including the quality of the camera we got. Here, let me show you the camera we got. We got an EOS R6 Canon mirrorless camera. I think that's all the specs on this thing. This thing's beautiful. The glass on this is amazing. I can't always carry this around wherever I go, even though we are setting up something to fit on our harnesses so we can film on big walls per se. Be literally everywhere, be in Iceland with this, and of course film in the lab. And the way this shoots, I can actually get quality slow-mo for the drop tower. We don't need 960 frames per second for the drop tower. 120 frames per second with this will look so sharp. So this was a huge upgrade. And I also saved money because I was able to split this with my girlfriend because she wanted to also get this, and we were both too cheap to buy it. So together, it made it more palatable. So tons and tons of upgrades. We're gonna make the quality better. We're gonna pump out better content, the content you guys wanna see, and stay tuned for more updates. Thank you for all of your donations and making this channel possible. You guys are awesome. Cheers.